Welcome to another episode of Reflections of a CEO, where I take you behind the scenes on what it's really like to run a business. So today, I want to talk to you about something that's been top of mind, mainly... Sorry, my girlfriend just walked by and had to grab our little Pomino who was hopping. But anyways, what I want to talk to you about today is something top of mind because I just had a conversation about it yesterday, and it was probably my fifth conversation in the last month about this one topic, and I've recently written a blog post about it, but now I figured, hey, let me just actually record a podcast about it. So I'm going to be talking to you about how I generate a lot of business, and it's through something people call it the technical term, and I only learned it, a couple years into business. It's called channel partners, but that's just a fancy way of saying partnerships and referrals. So most of our business over the course of the years has come from two sources, because people always ask me, how do you get business, right? This is even how the conversation yesterday came about, was how do you get business? And I was like, look, I wish I could tell you here's the magic trick and this super awesome Facebook ad formula and blah, blah, blah. But it's really simple. Referrals and partnerships. That's it. So I already talked about, on another episode of the podcast, about referrals and how just having a really good network leads to a lot of referrals. So I'm not going to touch on that because that's more of a organic, not so much a strategic kind of referral relationship. What I'm going to talk to you about today is channel partners. So these are very strategic. And to be honest, when I started out, I didn't really, I didn't even know what they were called. And to me, I just kind of stumbled upon it because it made sense to me. So a couple things led to this. When I was starting Jakt, I didn't have any money, right? No money. And I needed to figure out how to generate business, right? During the day, I was coding, right? We were doing project work. I was coding all day, and I was like, all right, I need new business. I have no money, so I need the biggest bang for my buck, or the no money I had, really. And so I was like, how can I get business? So I took something from my days in nightlife, which was this concept of leverage and the fact that you can reach hundreds or tens of people or hundreds of people through one person. If you know who that influencer, it's called an influencer day, who that influencer is, right? So when I used to throw parties, what I would do is if I need to get 500 people here, I wouldn't try to individually go and find 500 people. I'd find the 10 people who could give me the 500 people, right? To me, it was the easiest way to do it. I was also playing to my strengths. One, I'm an introvert, playing to that strength there, but also two, just what's the easiest thing? Would I rather try and find 500 people, or would I rather find 10 people who could bring me the 500? Kind of makes sense to me, right? So I took that and then I applied it to this business, right? And I figured out, in my head, I was like, okay, if I want to reach new customers, finding individual customers one by one is one, very expensive from a monetary standpoint, and then two, very time expensive, right? It takes a lot of time to do it. So I was like, well, how can I reach these people given my time and cost constraints? So I'm actually thankful for my constraints, because when you have constraints, it leads to you being more creative. Constraints lead to creativity. That's a good little phrase right there. So with this, I was like, all right, how do I do this? So I essentially took that same process and applied it. It's like, all right, who is talking to my target customer? Who are the people that I want to work with, right? And then I figured out what other people are touching them. So literally the same process, except in this case, my customers, instead of being, say when it's in the nightlife world, I needed to get one person to the club or the party or whatever, and so I would find their friend, right? Here it was, hey, what's another person touching my ideal customer? And what I figured out was it was businesses. So I would think through who else is touching, this business that I want to work with. And in my case, right, with Jakt, we design and build software, right? at the time in the early days, we did development, but we didn't do design in-house. Today we do design in-house, right? But when we started, we didn't. And so what I thought through was like, hey, we need sometimes help with design, but really design agencies who don't do development, right, are talking to the customers that we can help. Wouldn't it be nice if we partnered up with design agencies and did the development for their customers, right? And so this very simple concept is what led to the start of what I later figured out was channel partners, right? But this idea that I could partner up with a design agency and then that could act as a new funnel of business. So from the design agency's perspective, right, if they're talking to a customer, there's a couple ways this can work and ways that it did work that I found out. One is that a design agency, if they're talking to someone who needs some software designed and built, it could either be that maybe they actually need us to help close the deal, right? Hey, we go in and they need to sell the customer on being able to design and build everything, right? So then we become a very valuable partner, right? We're actually helping them close a deal. Or they already are working with the customer, they're doing some design work, and then the customer says, hey, I need a partner to build this, right? And then they refer them into us. So you might be asking, why would someone even do that, right? And there's a couple reasons. One is that it actually makes them look good, right, to their customer. If they're working with a customer and the customer says, hey, I really need this thing, and you're like, hey, you should talk to these guys, and then it works out, you build up that social capital, right? You've now added more value to your customer, so the design agency looks good. On top of it, there could also be an economic relationship that we have, right? It could be that they pass over some business and we give them a 10% referral fee or whatever it is, right? I've generally found that the relationships where it's not purely monetary based, where there's a relationship and you're helping people back and forth, those have typically long-term gone over better, but there's plenty of times where we do economic, on top of it, right? So then there's a real economic incentive. So basically what I found was, hey, if they can act as my funnel, right? If one design agency can bring me 5 leads, and then I have another design agency that brings me another 5 leads, right? Then I was like, oh, this is interesting, right? I then don't have to do all the marketing. They're doing all the marketing to find the customers, right? So they're spending the money to find the customers and then bringing them to me, right? And so then it started expanding from there. I'm like, well, who else is touching our customer? And really, if I'm just abstracting and talking to you guys, think about with your business, if you're running an agency or really any sort of business, who else is touching your customer, right? And so maybe it's a design agency. For us, it could also be a marketing agency, or it could be a law firm, or whoever else it is. And one of the real benefits too is that when you get a referral in, like if a design agency refers someone to us, right, we're also we get to draft, so to speak, off of their trust. So when a customer, right, is referred into us and they've been referred into by someone else, you naturally get that trust, even though they've never met us before, right? We're not someone random now. We get to some of that trust there, right? So same way that in nightlife when I needed to reach someone, if their friend said, hey, you should go to this party, even though they didn't know me, there was a natural level of trust. So same kind of concept over here, natural level of trust, right? So it actually makes it easier to sell and your close rate goes up, right? Versus some random person you're talking to. So I really love this strategy, and then we just kept doing it, right? Over and over. So there's different types of people that you can look to partner up with. One, and the way we started initially was looking at people who don't directly compete with us, right? Who are servicing our target customer, and that we can together, we're not competing with each other, and we can both help that customer. Now, it could also be though, right? Then as we started building and growing, I learned, hey, I could actually partner up with companies that are similar to mine. Now you might be thinking, why would anyone do that, right? And here's why, right? I was looking at it, and even though someone does something similar to me, right? What if they are 10 times the size of us, right? What I started learning was that companies at different sizes, you can only take on projects of a certain size. So once you start growing, anything below a certain threshold doesn't make sense. Like for Jakt, if someone's only willing to spend $5,000, we just can't economically, it doesn't make sense for us, right? But someone's coming to us and we could refer to someone else. So similarly, there's some companies where they're like, hey, we're not going to touch anything unless it's over 100K, right? And at the time, we're like, oh, 50K project, even though we do something very similar, we formed relationships with these people, and then they would refer business to us, and then we'd pay them, right? So it made them look good by being able to help someone. They also got paid for it, and then we got to work on it, right? So that's another way, right? And then a third way that you have referrals and partnerships is this is more of like a white label kind of thing, right? So let's say a larger company needs help with something, and they are over capacity or whatever it is. They might just refer it out to you, but they might want to hold on to that. So you could be white labeled and working with them on it, right? That's another option. Another route, right? And as you'll see, there's so many different ways you can do this. You just have to get really creative with it. Another route is where you actually partner up together on a project, but you become a subcontractor. So for example, you could work with an experiential marketing agency, and this is based off a true story, by the way. An experiential marketing agency is working with a brand, right? And they need a partner to come in and handle a bunch of design and development. So you come in and you partner with them. They have the main contract, right? But your company is brought in to work on a sub piece of it, right? And then you work on it and you deliver it. So there's another way to partner up with people, right? Is you find the person who's closest to that customer, winning the deal, and then you come in and work with them, either to help them close the deal, right? Or once they have it, to work with them on it, right? So you might be a subcontractor of them, right? They might just bring you in, and you just might have your own contract with the customer, right? There's some things to think about, though. The further you are from the customer, the less control you have, right? Like if you don't have that relationship with the customer, you don't have as much control. So there's also the downside to referral partnerships, right? Is that when you're removed and you lose control, like they can turn off that faucet right away, real quick, right? And you're also not in control always of them closing a deal if you're not, the one directly talking to the customer, right? So a couple things to think about. It's happened also where if you start working with a referral partner and then you start doing what they are doing, right, encroaching on their territory, it can ruin a relationship. I've been there, and it happened. So you have to be mindful of that, right? And it may be that, hey, the lifespan of this partnership is only going to last a year because you're eventually going to get into the same thing that you are doing with someone. Or you can strategically use it to test it. You're like, hey, we don't offer design right now, but you start realizing, wow, there's a lot of opportunity over here, and you start going into that market, right? That's actually what we ended up doing. Not because of so much of the opportunity. I mean, that was definitely one, but we realized, hey, our product offering would be better with this. So when we did that, we didn't handle it very well, and we lost some design partners because of it. Now today we have design partners and branding partners and software development partners. Even though we do that, right, we all specialize in different things, so then we don't really need to encroach on each other. We may actually compete for some deals, but there's also ones that aren't a great fit for us and aren't a great fit for them, and we might refer them back and forth to each other. So we're always kind of winning together. But just with referral partners, right, you don't want to get concentrated with one partner, right? It's the same thing when you think about customers. You don't want to have customer concentration, because if your biggest customer leaves, you're kind of screwed. So same way, if your biggest referral partner, if they're a big source of leads for you, right, that is risky, and I don't like that, right? Because if they're accounting for 50% of your leads and they just one day decide to turn it off, you're kind of screwed, right? So same way that with customers, you don't want client concentration, same thing with referral partners. You don't want to have concentration with that, right? So referral partners, this is one strategy that I personally love. And when people ask me, and people in service-based businesses, the online community that I moderate, or people are coming to me for, how should I get customers? This is one of my go-tos, right? I constantly use it. We still use it today. We're constantly referring business out to people ourselves now, So it started as, hey, let me do this for getting business in. Now we refer business out. But I will say a great way to form a partnership with someone, right? And this is what sealed one of our early partnerships really well. Bring business to them first, okay? Always try to give first before you ask, right? I do this all the time with people. When I want to form a new relationship with someone, I try to bring them something first. So when we have a design partner, I'm like, I'm going to bring you some business, right? And then form that relationship. Or, over the past couple of weeks, I've sent 5 or 6 referrals out to people. Why? 1, because, hey, I could get a monetary incentive from it. 2, it makes me look good to the person I'm in. The social capital and credibility I get by referring someone is really nice. And then 3, it then lets me seal that relationship even more. So then they might send something back to me, right? So you have to think through this, right? And really play the long-term game, long-term relationship. It takes time, right? People don't like this strategy a lot because it takes time. You have to build a real relationship, and you have to stay top of mind with your partners, right? Because if a customer comes in, they need to be thinking about you, right? And I will say, it's just like any form of business. People like to refer people that they like, right? So if you have a better relationship with someone, right, who are they going to refer to, you or someone else? Same thing with me. When I get someone in and I'm like, oh, they need some help, who am I going to refer to? Someone that I like. Right? The work has to be good first off. Like, I need to look good when I refer, and same thing for someone else. They need to know you're gonna treat them really well. Because if you don't, right, it looks bad on them. Right? If I refer someone to someone and it doesn't go well, even though I didn't do the work, because I introduced them, right, it comes back and makes me look bad. Right? So you want to always make sure you're making that other customer or the person who referred it, making them look good, right? So that's who people want to refer people that they like, and people that they know it's going to make them look good, right? So this strategy is called channel partners, but you can see, right? I'm just giving some examples. You can just keep thinking through, right? If I had to really abstract it, all you want to think about is who else touches our target customer and can be a funnel for business for us, right? Who can be part of that lead funnel, that top of the funnel, right? People all like to talk about Facebook ad strategy and content marketing and all of these other things, right? This is just another way to fill up your top of the funnel. I just personally really like it because it's built off relationships with it, which is something I really like and enjoy. And then 2, it's a way for multiple customers to come to you. So you might have 10 referral partners, right? That could bring you 100 leads, right? It's nice. So it's just another channel, another thing to add to your repertoire. And a very cost-effective way. It costs your time, right? Time in relationships is what it costs. But when you're starting out and you have no money, or even when you do have money, it's just really effective. So anyways, that's channel partners for you. Strategy that I love. Sasha, any questions or anything that I should cover that I haven't talked about?
No, that was really good.
Okay. She says it's good. So I also wrote a blog post on this. Go to my website, anthonytumiola.com. I went into more detail on this exact topic. And yeah, I guess that's it. So that's my little rant of the day. Now I can be able to send this to people from now on. And yeah, well, thank you for joining me. Again, if you're watching on video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit that little subscribe button, or if you're on IGTV, follow me. Podcast people, please hit that little subscribe so you get notified. And if this was helpful, or you think this would be helpful for another business owner, send it over to them. And would love to try and help as many people as possible with this stuff. It's free information, and I keep repeating it to people over and over. So I figured, let me just record this podcast. So now if we can really share it via audio and video, that would be awesome. Let's get this information out there, help more people with their businesses, because that's what I'm dedicating myself to over the next couple of years, helping other agency owners and other business owners, right? So anyways, if this was helpful, again, please subscribe, and I will see you all next time.